So what are the causes of? Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir. দেখা যাচ্ছে
You're both audible and clear.
Okay. Then gastric outlet obstruction. What are the causes of gastric outlet obstruction? There are congenital causes. Among the congenital causes, infantile hypertrophic pyloric stenosis. It is one of the common cause of gastric outlet obstruction in neonatal. In children, actually, the clinical features, though it is a congenital condition, the clinical feature doesn't uh, arise before 3 weeks. It is 3 to 6 weeks when the patient develops the clinical features. There is projectile vomiting, and the vomitus doesn't contain bile. Also, there is a visible lump, there is a visible lump which there is visible peristalsis and a lump in the upper abdomen. The peristalsis is from left to right. So one of the common cause of gastric outlet obstruction in the infants is hypertrophic pyloric stenosis. It is infantile because adult type of hypertrophic pyloric stenosis is also found. Also, among the other causes, volvulus neonatum is another cause which can give rise to gastric outlet obstruction. Transdural band of lead, another cause of obstruction, and annular pancreas. These are the congenital conditions which can give rise to gastric outlet obstruction. So, volvulus neonatum means there is rotation of the gut. Uh, it is 270-degree rotation. If it stops short, then there is if the rotation stops short, then there is chance of volvulus. In that case, the cecum lies in the upper abdomen in the right side, and volvulus of the mid gut occurs. The rotation of the mid gut occurs. So it is one condition which can give rise to gastric outlet obstruction. Also, transdural band of lead. Transdural band of lead is attached from the cecum to the right. Normally, it's a very short band which is attached to the from the cecum to the uh, parietal wall in the right iliac fossa, and it is insignificant in normal conditions when the rotation of the gut rotation is normal. But when the gut rotation is incomplete, then this band of lead causes obstruction to the second part of the duodenum, and there are features of gastric outlet obstruction. Annular pancreas, as you know, it is also a congenital condition when the pancreas, the head of the pancreas surrounds the second part of the duodenum, causing obstruction to the outflow of the stomach. This is the picture which shows infantile hypertrophic pyloric stenosis. What happens? The inner circular layer becomes very much hypertrophic. It becomes very much thickened, and the intermediate oblique fibers returns from the from the border of the duodenum to the stomach again. There are three layers of the muscle so far the stomach is concerned. One is upper longitudinal muscles, intermediate oblique muscles, and innermost circular muscles. In case of infantile hypertrophic pyloric stenosis, what happens? The innermost layer becomes thick due to hypertrophy, and the return of the intermediate oblique fibers also adds to the obstruction. Now, this is the picture of incomplete rotation of gut leading to volvulus of the midgut, also known as volvulus neonatorum A, and transdural band of lead causing obstruction to the second part of the duodenum. The picture is there. Other causes are congenital causes are duodenal wave or stenosis. So these are the congenital causes which can give rise to gastric outlet obstruction. This is a picture of duodenal web. This is picture of annular pancreas. Supramesenteric vessels are there. Duodenum is obstructed in its second part. The other causes of gastric outlet obstruction is obstruction from outside. It may be due to tuberculosis or metastatic lymph nodes, may be due to pseudocyst of the pancreas, carcinoma of the head of the pancreas. Also, cholangiocarcinoma can cause obstruction to the gastric outflow. This is pseudocyst of the pancreas, but the picture is far away. It is in the tail region. If it occurs in the head region of the stomach, then it can cause the obstruction to the gastric outflow. Carcinoma of the head of the pancreas truly causes obstruction to the duodenum, second part of the duodenum. Cholangiocarcinoma again causes obstruction to the duodenum. Obstruction, causes of gastric outlet obstruction when the obstruction is in the wall. Pyloric stenosis following peptic ulcer disease, one of the common cause in adult. One of the common cause of in adult. Acute pyloric stenosis, I told, if adult pyloric stenosis, I told you, if there is a similar pathology in the gastric outlet, leading it is similar pathology like infantile pyloric stenosis, which occurs in the adult age. It can also causes obstruction, which is known as adult pyloric stenosis. This is again due to hypertrophy of the circular muscles and the intermediate and the oblique muscles. Lymphoma of the stomach, yeast gastrointestinal stromal tumor, Meniere's disease is there. There is prolapse of the gastric mucous membrane also causes obstruction to the gastric outflow. Obstruction in the wall continue. Pyloric disease, mucosal diaphragm. There may be a diaphragm at the junction of the stomach and the pylorus of the stomach and duodenum also can cause obstruction. Amyloidosis, duodenal tumor, benign and malignant. Duodenum is the commonest site of tumor so far small gut is concerned. Among the small gut, duodenum is the commonest site for tumor, made benign or malignant. Duodenal ileus is also a cause of gastric outlet obstruction. Obstruction in the wall. Pyloric pictures are there. Pyloric stenosis following peptic ulcer disease. Other obstruction in the lumen of the stomach. Trichobezoar, phytobezoar. Trichobezoar means foreign body contains hair. Phytobezoar means scales of the fruits.
Vegetables.
Yes. Overhead syndrome is there. Foreign body ingestion also causes gastric outlet obstruction. This is a picture of trichobezoar, full of hair. Usually psychologically ill patients, females are more are affected. Young females, psychologically disturbed patients are usually forms trichobezoar. Now, unless proved otherwise, the cause of gastric outlet obstruction should be considered as carcinoma at the distal end of the stomach. This is a very important statement. Unless proved otherwise, the cause of gastric outlet obstruction should be in adult patient should be considered as carcinoma at the distal part of the stomach. Nowadays, unless proved otherwise, the cause of gastric outlet obstruction is carcinoma at the distal part of the stomach. Now, what are the clinical features? What are the clinical features of gastric outlet obstruction? 10. 10 is in the epigastric area, usually vague pain in the epigastric region. Food habit. Food habit is very important. So for gastric outlet obstruction is concerned, what happens, the patient is able to take some food in the morning, lesser amount in the afternoon, but from evening he cannot take any food because his stomach is distended and appetite is completely lost. So only in the morning hours he or she can take some food. Vomiting. Usually vomiting occurs in the evening and doesn't contain any bile because there is obstruction at the gastroduodenal junction. There is weight loss, dehydration, visible peristalsis is also is there, which runs from left to right. Stomach remains distended. Succussion splash is one of the clinical findings due to distension of the stomach and containing the food particles, especially liquids. Ausculto percussion can be done to delineate the enlarged stomach because the stomach becomes very enlarged. So by ausculto percussion, the outline of the stomach can be assessed on the anterior abdominal wall. Metabolic, what are the
Sir,
metabolic?
what is ausculto percussion?
Ausculto percussion, that's the problem. I had that video which showed how to elicit ausculto percussion. Succussion splash, ausculto percussion. I'll show you. I'll show you how to percuss. How to do ausculto percussion. Achha, just let me show you. I will try. I will try how to show how we can show ausculto percussion and succussion splash and visible peristalsis. Just wait. Repeat. Uh, So visible peristalsis, I will show you another one picture of visible peristalsis. Now I will show how to elicit succussion splash and ausculto percussion. Now how to elicit succussion splash. Yes, please. Yes, please. You put the chest piece on the epigastrium just below the manubriums, just below the Gifford process. Fix it with two thumbs, and now move the patient side to side. And then move the patient side. You just put the chest piece of the stethoscope below the xiphoid process, fix it. Fix it with the two thumbs and move the patient sideways. You will be able to hear the movement of the fluid in the stomach through the stethoscope. This can be heard more properly if you allow the patient to drink some water and do the succussion splash. Sometimes without putting this is the ideal method, but sometimes the stomach becomes so distended that if you move the patient sideways, you will be able to hear the movement of the fluid in the stomach from outside, keeping the ear near the abdomen of the patient. Sometimes the succussion splash is so loud that if you don't put your chest piece of the stetho on the epigastrium, you just bring your ear near the anterolabial wall, epigastrium, and move the patient sideways. You will be able to hear the movement of fluid in the stomach. This can be heard in by ear or through the stethoscope as described just now. Now ausculto percussion. Again, the chest piece is put on the epigastrium just below the xiphoid process. You scratch the anterolabial wall from the chest piece outwards, and there will be a change of and there will be change of sound, and where the changes occurs, you just mark it, and afterwards the markings are joined. This is the greater curvature. If you join these points, this becomes the greater curvature of the stomach. And you will find that the stomach is very much distended, almost it goes down up to the pelvis, it can go down up to the pelvis. So unless you hear the change of sound, you will not be able to identify the marking. The markings are to mark the sides, you have to make your ear acquainted with the change of sound. So how ausculto percussion is done to make an outline of the stomach, distended stomach.
Thank you, sir.
No. Okay. Now visible peristalsis. Now this is the case of visible peristalsis. The peristalsis goes from left to right. In case of gastric outlet obstruction, if there is obstruction in the transverse colon, in the distal part of the transverse colon, the direction of visible peristalsis will be reversed. It will be from right to left. In case of gastric outlet obstruction, the visible peristalsis occurs from left to right. But in case of obstruction at the distal third of the transverse colon, the visible peristalsis will move from right to left. The direction will be reversed. So again, we come to the theory part. What are the metabolic effects of gastric outlet obstruction? There will be hypochloremic alkalosis, hypochloremia alkalosis. Also, there will be hyponatremia and hypokalemia. That means sodium, potassium both will be low. Hypochloremia will be there and alkalosis will be there. Paradoxically, the urine will be acidic. Also, in severe cases, tetany will be there. How do you manage a case of gastric outlet obstruction? Initially, the patient becomes very sick, so dehydrated with electrolyte imbalance, anemic, cachectic, just like malignant conditions. So initially, you have to resuscitate the patient. The initial management is correction of dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. Then you have to give normal saline so that sodium and chloride can be given together with fluid, and correction of anemia has to be done. Hypoproteinemia has to be corrected. Gastric emptying, then you insert a Ryle's tube, do the take out the residue, take out the content of the stomach, and then give lavage with normal saline. Also, proton pump inhibitor has to be given in injectable form, preferably. You have to give in injectable form proton pump inhibitor. Now, after resuscitation, you have to do some investigations. Like the most important investigation is upper GI endoscopy, plus minus biopsy. If it is a malignant condition, you have to do the biopsy. If it is a benign condition, till if from the ulcers, biopsy can be taken. And routine investigations, so for straight X-ray, chest, straight X-ray, chest, ECG, echocardiography, blood, TCD, CSR, hemoglobin, sugar, urea, creatinine. Also, in addition to that, hemoglobin is very important because I said anemia is a condition. A severe patient can suffer from severe anemia. Liver function test you have to do because you have to assess the albumin. If needed, intravenous albumin has to be given. Sodium, potassium level has bicarbonate and chloride level has to be estimated and corrected if found incorrect. Now treatment. So for the treatment part is concerned, one of the option is without any surgery, endoscopic balloon dilatation can be done. Without any surgery, endoscopic balloon dilatation of gastric outlet can be done. It is one option. Without doing surgery, this can be advocated. But there are certain disadvantages of this condition. Earlier cases can be treated by this when the obstruction is not much more, and sometimes complications like rupture of the lumen, rupture of the duodenum or stomach. Usually, duodenum rupture of the duodenum occurs. And another drawback is again the obstruction and narrowing of the gastroduodenal junction occurs. So endoscopic balloon dilatation is not a preferred treatment, but one of the option is this. This can be advocated in certain conditions when suppose the patient's days are numbered or the patient doesn't want any operation. So conservative, as a measure of conservative treatment, endoscopic balloon dilation can be advocated and successful in early cases, but repetition has to be done. Mostly the gastric outlet obstructions are treated by surgery. And the commonest surgery is vagotomy with gastroenterostomy. It may be gastrojejunostomy, loop or Roux-en-Y gastrojejunostomy. So what are the different types of vagotomy? One is truncal vagotomy, when both the trunks of the vagus nerve are two, anterior and posterior, left and right, or anterior left, posterior right. Truncal vagotomy means that the whole trunk of the vagus nerve is cut, divided. It can be done through abdominal route or through transthoracic route. This is one of the options. Then selective vagotomy, only gastric division, the anterior vagus nerve has got gastric division and hepatic division. Only the gastric division can be divided, keeping the hepatic branch. And the posterior vagus nerve has got two branches, one is gastric, one is celiac. So keeping the celiac branch intact, the gastric branch can be divided. So gastric branch of both anterior and posterior vagus nerve can be divided in selective vagotomy. In this condition, bypass is also needed, but this is not advocated nowadays because the added advantage, there is little advantage of selective vagotomy. Either truncal vagotomy with bypass or highly selective vagotomy is advocated nowadays. Highly selective vagotomy. What is highly selective vagotomy? Only the gastric branches are cut separately. Gastric branches of the and branches of the gastric, vagus nerve supplying the branches to the stomach are divided, both anterior and posterior, keeping 3-4 branches near the pylorus. The idea is that we can avoid bypass operation. Am I not? Let me clear it further. Look at the picture. From the anterior vagus and posterior vagus, only the branches which goes through the stomach wall are cut, keeping those branches near the pylorus. So nothing more is done. Hepatic and celiac branches are kept intact. Most of the gastric branches are divided except some branches which supply the distal part of the stomach. The advantage of this condition is you need not to do bypass operation. Gastrojejunostomy is not needed in this type of vagotomy. So either truncal vagotomy or highly selective vagotomy are advocated nowadays. Bypass. Types of gastroenterostomy or gastric bypass operations. Either loop gastrojejunostomy, anterior or retrocolic. It may be anticolic in front of the colon, transverse colon, gastrojejunostomy. Loop gastrojejunostomy can be done in front of the transverse colon or behind the transverse colon. So anticolic or retrocolic. It can be done it can be isoperistaltic or antiperistaltic. And depending on the anastomotic site, can be vertical. The anastomotic site, it can be vertical, transverse or oblique. Type of gastroenterostomy, gastric bypass operation: anterior, anticolic or retrocolic. picture retrocolic or anticolic anastomosis pictures are given. But nowadays, we prefer in a benign condition, we prefer gastrogenostomy with Roux-en-Y jejunogenostomy. Loop gastrogenostomy is not advocated nowadays. Nowadays, the preferred operation is gastrojejunectomy with Roux-en-Y jejunogenostomy to avoid biliary reflux. In this Roux-en-Y jejunogenostomy, biliary reflux is almost nil. To avoid this biliary reflux, this operation is nowadays advocated. Gastroduodenostomy is not done in case of gastric outlet obstruction. Gastrojejunectomy is also not, gastroduodenostomy or gastrojejunectomy is not done alone in case of gastric outlet obstruction. This is a picture where gastrojejunectomy with Roux-en-Y jejunogenostomy. This is the picture of gastrojejunectomy with Roux-en-Y jejunogenostomy. Pyloroplasty is not done in a case of gastric outlet obstruction because the pylorus is defective, so pyloroplasty is not done. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? The problem is that I am unable to tell what I thought to. I am unable, but in this compromised situation, I have told you a bit what I can do. But afterwards, when we will have, we'll be more prepared afterwards. So let me finish today here. Thank you very much.